Señor Presidente.
President, Ministers, Heads of Delegation, Delegates, I want to start by thanking the government of Egypt and their people for their hospitality. President, 30 years ago, this convention was established as a means to seek a joint solution to the greatest challenge modern society faces. It was one of the greatest milestones in international cooperation, with unequivocal recognition of the impact of human activity on the climate and the need to take urgent, coordinated action to mitigate global warming. Unfortunately, to this day, we continue to demonstrate that the promises of cooperation, action, and support have remained empty. Despite the clarity of the science and the forcefulness of the voices of the countries that, like the Dominican Republic, are on the front line of the impact of climate change, we have not delivered on the ambition or the financing commitments. That's why today we run the risk of becoming an obsolete process, far from promoting the solutions and cooperation it champions. Year after year, it fails to comply with the decisions that we adopt within it. Year after year, we fail present and future generations. 2015 was a magic moment in Paris, where we agreed to cap the increase in temperature to 1.5 degrees. Today, science tells us that we are on the way to a deadly 2.7 degree warming. Today, the Dominican Republic and other countries in the region bear the human and economic losses of a climate crisis that we did not cause and that we are feeling firsthand. The recent years of pandemic and extreme weather events have exposed the differentiated impact of climate change in our countries. The summer of 2022 will go down in history as one of the worst in terms of heat waves, fires, droughts, and floods on the entire planet. While in Europe and the US, the overall effects of these will amount to little more than an inconvenience in economic terms, with losses almost imperceptible in GDP percentages. For countries like ours, it will take years to recover from the economic losses of disasters. Recognizing the urgency of establishing predictable financing mechanisms to address climate change-related loss and damage is a matter of survival. I'll be very clear, President. There will be no agreement in Sharm el-Sheikh without an agreement for financing arrangements for addressing loss and damage. The Dominican Republic and island nations are paying the price of decades of greed and inaction. Our industrialized colleagues oppose forceful commitments for action, support, and financing, and invite us to dialogue as if it were not evident that the progress of their peoples is based on the deterioration and subjugation of the most vulnerable nations. They oppose compensation, nor do they take actions to correct course. The climate crisis shows that colonization never ended. It was only transformed. Today we see that the lives of citizens of the global south are worth less than those of the global north. We do not ask for charity, we demand justice. Allow me to remind my colleagues that Article 2.1 of the Paris Accords calls for the alignment of the global financial system with the climate cause. But leaders of the world's largest economies continue to perpetuate a financial system riddled with perverse incentives that are making the crisis worse every day. This crisis accelerates the loss of lives, territories, cultures, and dreams. If they do not want to compensate, the least they can do is promote the transformation of the global financial system. The Dominican Republic is doing its part, and while other delegations are present in Egypt to fight while other delegations are present in Egypt to protect the current modus operandi, the Dominican Republic is present in Egypt to fight for our survival and ensure a prosperous future for present and future generations. That's why our delegation is one of the youngest in history. It's the children and young people who will bear the impacts of our inaction, and that is why young Dominicans lead our delegation in this meeting. It is time for young people to take control of our destiny and be present in the rooms where their future is being negotiated. I also want to add that increasingly, the vulnerabilities are becoming increasingly clear. With marginalized groups such as women, they face the brunt of the impact. Despite being a majority in the population, only 7 of the 110 delegations here at the COP have been headed by women. We cannot talk about climate justice if we do not make space for the participation of women who experience the climate crisis firsthand. For this reason, I ask the youth and women of the world to step up their efforts to get involved in politics, diplomacy, and science and business. It's to build a more equitable, more sustainable world. It is your future that is at stake, and your presence is essential. Thank you.